Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Standard Pop Culture. We're looking at a board game today, Charlie's Angels, the game, based on the television series, in case you didn't know that. In fact, the TV series is not based on the board game, it's the other way around. Ages 8 to 14, from Milton Bradley Company, and I believe this is from 1977. Let's take a look at the box. We got the Charlie's Angels, what do we call that? Emblem? I don't know. The silhouette of the Angels. To me, one of the greatest little bits of graphic art ever made. We get to see Jill, Kelly, and Sabrina. So this is obviously first season. We still have the original Angels. And whoops, there we go. Charlie's Angels game. Charlie's Angels game. Charlie's Angels game. Charlie's Angels game. And on the bottom, nothing. Okay, so let's take a look at this game. Now, ages 8 to 14, which means what? It means it's not overly complicated. Has the instructions in the box top, which also means not overly complicated. Also means when you buy this game, you're not going to have to worry about whether the instructions are inside. Move these out of the way for a moment. Let's take a look at the interior, where we get to see again the Charlie's Angels. I love this. Looks like an iron-on with the border around it, which was so 1970s. That is pretty rad, honestly. Let's open up the board. We can see most of it here. So what do we have? We have a series of spaces connected by little connectors. Some are blue, some are pink. We have picture areas. We have this area down here, and you notice the phone. And of course, if you've watched Charlie's Angels, and have you never watched an episode of Charlie's Angels? Go watch an episode of Charlie's Angels. What's wrong with you? Charlie always communicates with the Angels via the phone. Bosley is usually standing by. So let's get into the pieces here. We have these Charlie's mission cards, or Charlie's message, cards. You can see the back of one of them here. Villain moves 6 spaces, okay. You draw one of those cards when you land on a pink space. Let's do this. That's going to be a lot easier. We got dice. Well, there should be 2 of them. I suppose if you don't have both of them, you just roll one twice. But you do roll twice on your turn. Each one will control the movement of one of your angels. All right. And you have to use the full move of the dice. Let's move these out of the way. Oh, okay. Actually, now I see what I'm doing here. So each of these different colors, you have the 3 angels. You also have the villain. The villain. And you, of course, have markers for the different angels. Let me sort of organize these a little bit. I think I already put one in a wrong pile. Oh, no, there's 3 there. Okay. I'm colorblind, so that's not out of the realm of possibilities. We have these little markers. We have an ancient rubber band that has fallen apart. Put that in the garbage. Here is the villain's stand. Okay. So there's our villain. And they would use the other stands for these. So each person picks a color, and they get the 3 angels of their particular color. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so we have Sabrina. Looks like she's in her riding gear. We have Jill Farrah Fawcett, looking so sexy. And we have Kelly in her bikini. Fighting crime in a bikini. Okay, so here's how the game works. Depending on how many players you have, you set up your little angels, and you're going to start. It says start in the phone area. To me, that means you're kind of over here, and so you roll a dice, get a 5. You'd probably, best I can figure, you're going to start maybe over here with each character. Oops, let me move that a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The villain starts in the upper area. Somebody places him any place you want. Now, on each turn, you'd roll technically 2 dice. In this case, we'll roll this dice twice. We got another 5. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to move 2 of your angels, and you're going to move the villain 1 space. Okay. So the players are controlling the villain. But now here's what you're trying to do. You're trying to surround the villain. Say if you got him over to here, so that the villain cannot move. And obviously you have to move by those little connectors. Once the villain is trapped, each marker next to it gets 1 point. So in this case, the blue player would get 3 points. But it would be possible that you would manage to capture him, say, with one of the yellow player's characters. If that was the case, then the blue player would get 2 points, the yellow would get 1 point. So in terms of moving the villain around, you sometimes are going to be moving him to a position where you can catch him and your opponents can't, or you're moving him simply away from your opponents. Kind of interesting. And every so often you'll get one of these Charlie's message cards. This one says, Jill moved next to Kelly. So that could be very useful. If you're trying to capture somebody, you can move over here, and that gets you just that much closer. But maybe if Jill had been across the board, that would enable her to get where she needs to be a lot faster. They admit in the rules that sometimes Charlie actually is not all that helpful. For example, that one card we saw allows the villain to move 5 spaces. So, well, maybe that's helpful to me as a player because he's almost trapped and I'm the yellow player. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now he's a lot closer to my players or my pieces, and I have a better chance of capturing him. The rules say you're supposed to play 3 games, and at the end of the 3 games, whoever has the most points wins the game. So it's a relatively simple game, relatively simple rules, but there's a decent amount of strategy involved. And I have played this a couple times with the fam, and it was pretty fun. Now, I sort of have an advantage over my wife and daughter when we play these games, in as much as I don't mind playing to win, and those two never want to do anything mean to each other. But they don't mind doing something mean to dear old dad because, of course, well, I have no mercy on them either. So sometimes that helps me because I'm able to, act a little cutthroat. Sometimes it doesn't because the two of them gang up on me. But we had a pretty good time playing it. I think I won one of the games. Maybe we just played it through once, the 3 games. I might have won. I don't remember. But it was kind of fun because you do have to think ahead a little bit as you maneuver your characters and try to maneuver him closer to you. Now, the villain only moves 1 space per turn. But if you have, say, 4 people playing, he's going to be moving 4 spaces before you get to your next turn. But there's going to be push and pull, You can make alliances in this game. Hey, yellow player, help move him over this way towards us and we can trap him, and then we both get to score some points. But you get the idea. It's a simple game, but you actually have to think a little bit to play it, to win it. And it is pretty fun for as simple a game as that is. Now, design wise, to some degree, it works off the theme of Charlie's Angels as they try to run down the bad guys over the course of an adventure. It's an abstract way of doing that, but it works, and abstract is probably the best way to do it. You do get the pieces that actually have the angels on it, so that's cool. Decent graphics on the board with some scenes from the show with the Iron-On, the logo, etc. So it takes advantage of that. It looks pretty nice. It's pretty cool. Nice box art. So overall, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one. I'd give it a decent rating. But definitely one you can play over and over again, with your kids, or if you're just a bunch of Gen Xers who want to goof around, have a game night, because there is the strategy element to it. So it's not going to be the same game every single time you play it. It all depends on the luck of the dice, who can outthink who can outmaneuver who. You can have a little bit of backstabbing in it, which is always fun in game nights. So, good game. If you can find one in an antique store, and they're typically not that expensive, you do want to check it, make sure all the pieces are there. There should be 3 of each color marker, 3 of each color angel, a villain, etc. The dice, not a big deal. They're just normal dice. You could substitute them. In fact, I have no idea if this is the original dice. It very well may not be. It's what I had. But you do want to check. And at least on the real plus side, the instructions are inside the box. Do I have all of the Charlie's message cards? No idea. But decent sized deck, so we're probably fine there. And again, these are just sort of an X factor in the game. So if you were missing 1 or 2, it probably wouldn't make that big a difference. If you find one out in an antique store, grab it, get some friends together, play a little Charlie's Angels, hey, turn it into a drinking game, put money on it, who knows, if you want to make it more interesting. It's a fun little game. And like is important with most of these games, it's a great excuse to sit around with friends, with family, play a game, talk about your day, talk about what's going on in the world. Well, maybe at this point, not what's going on in the world. You might not want to talk about that, but talk about what's going on in your lives. Have some snacks, have some pop, drink a couple beers. Great excuse for that. And I think it will be an engaging game once you get going with it. So what say you out there in, I don't know what to call it, TV land? Is this a game you remember from your childhood? Have you ever played it? Is it a favorite of yours? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions about the game, I will do my best to answer them. If you enjoy this silly little review video, please give it a like. Maybe think about subscribing to the channel, sharing with a friend. I really appreciate when you do that. It helps my little channel grow. So until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun. Play a board game with the kids. Play a board game with your friends. I will see you next time in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.